were the sahibs of the whole nation, because they had convinced the intellect, not the intellect, but the minds of the Indian people that they were beneath them and that the English were more powerful. And Gandhi came back and he realized that this was a fight for the minds and the hearts of the Indian people. And so he showed through example, through love, through his dedication, and he would go to village, and the most important thing he said is that the seed of God is in the heart of every man, woman, and child, and that he was there to show through example that we could nurture the seed and that we were divine, sovereign beings, whether we were white, black, Asian. And when he got the Indian people to understand that they had value, that they had intellect, that they had rights, and his main thing was to get the British out still as friends. He didn't see them as enemies. He saw them as opponents and he realized that they had wrong thinking. And he did this through hard work and through peace. And you know what, folks? We can't beat the Illuminati right now with guns. We've got to do it with intellect.
They want to make it a physical fight.
Yes.
Now, at the same time, we should defend ourselves.
Of course.
And Gandhi had something to say about that.
And absolutely, Gandhi was no coward. Gandhi was a man.
Well, he let him beat him up all the time.
He was a man's man, but he would say that it's better for a person to go to war and fight and die for their country than to be a coward and hide under the banner of nonviolent civil disobedience.
Well, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Yes.
You got to know when to play your cards. I mean, at points where there's police and they're just peacefully protesting,
yes,
let them beat them up in front of people. Because that then shows people, but at the same time, if they're rounding up people in villages, taking them to FEMA camps, you got to defend yourself.
Absolutely. And for example, when what was going on in Russia was happening in the Ukraine, when Stalin was just decimating the Ukraine, Gandhi was very clear that it was important for those people to stand up and fight. He was no coward, and we encourage you not to be cowards, to see this thing as clearly, crystal clearly as possible. These people care not one iota about your freedom or your life. And so you need to protect yourself on all different fronts.
But don't be cowards. Get involved. Speak out. You're not going to be able to physically fight if you can't even talk to your neighbor about this.
Exactly.
It's in increments. It's in steps.
Yes, and it's through the first awareness, becoming aware of the massive illusion. The massive illusion of the...
Yeah, don't just believe everything we're saying. Just realize you're being conned. There's more to the world.
Yes, and then as you become aware of the delusion and the manipulation on the third dimension, and then you become aware of what we call the second awareness, is that God, whatever you want to call God, the universal creator, the loving intelligence...
We've got to go to break. We have to go to break.
You may be new to freeze-dry.
Catherine Austin Fitz is going to be with us in the second segment of the next hour at 8 after. I want to go to calls, but George, you're making a really good point about how you read the New York Times and it's all this well-woven together disinformation, rationales, and it's just a continual narrative of deception. Yeah. It's a matrix of fraud. But when you know all the facts, then it's completely clear. But the average person, it's all written like it's reasonable. But it's a fantasy land. It's like people with fantasy football. I mean, they're acting like they're really running quarterbacks, and on this little power trip, it's the same thing. They're all in this little box.
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing because I have been studying this stuff for a long, long time. And the other day I was reading the New York Times, which is the #1 publication, and I start reading articles about cap and trade or the vaccines or whatever it was, and I just let myself read it like without my own point of view, and I realized how incredibly seductive and believable their point is.
Because they'll mix a little truth in and have a smattering, yeah.
And they do this so well, and as you say, this is the Matrix. And what we're facing is so similar to the movie The Matrix. The illusion out there is just deeper, deeper, deeper than almost any of us can understand. And we have to understand that to get through this period of time, and what the Mayan calendar calls 2012, or what the rishis in India call the changing from the Kali Yuga to the Dwapara Yuga, this has all been prophesized for a long time.
Well, the elite believe there's a big change, but it's not going to be the end of the world. They believe they're bringing their system in, and they're actually trying to suppress people waking up because they know a big change is coming. Let's take some calls. Matthew in Arizona, you're on the air with George Humphrey. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, you guys are doing great today, but I have something really important to bring up that I never really hear on your show, and it's students at universities and how bad the liberal propaganda has been getting.
Well, we do talk about how they don't let people have free speech in a lot of universities. They bully the students. They call it liberal. It's not. It's really fascism. And it's anti-family, it's anti-male. They want to destroy the existing order so that everybody is basically destitute, institutionalized, and have to lean on the state. George?
Well, when I think of liberal, I think of Thomas Jefferson. I think of somebody with an open mind, who is inquisitive, who is there, who wants to play by the rules, who has an open heart. To call these son of a guns liberal, and we all have these friends who are liberal Democrats.
Well, see, that's the matrix. They think they're Thomas Jefferson and the average liberal, when really they're working for a eugenics death cult.
In the reality is that about 99% of the liberal Democrats in this country believe that they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing the right thing. They read the New York Times. They watch CNN. They've swallowed this lie, hook, line, and sinker.
And they know their liberal paradigm isn't perfect, but it's better than that Republican paradigm, which is only another wing on the same bird. Thank you, Matthew. Don in Toronto, you're on the air. Go ahead, Don.
Yes, hi, Alex. George, I'm calling from Canada, where the H1N1 massive vaccine campaign is in full throttle right now, and there have been reports of one person dying of complications.
There's a bunch of reports of deaths all over the world, China, France, England, and they're really covering most of them up.
And I just wanted to ask George, you seem to see more police presence in Mexico. The army is everywhere due to the fight against the drug cartel.
The fight against drug dealers that aren't paying their cut.
Does George see increased militarization in North America?
There's no question about it. It's already happening.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to go to break. Thank you so much, Don. Anything else?
Well, I just wondered if this H1N1 campaign goes any further and there's more deaths involved.
We'll be right back.